like, you know, we're not dating. I've got my own life. You've got your life. Like, there's always going to be a healthy boundary there.
We do tend to, I think, bicker maybe like a married couple or siblings, and you know, it's a different dynamic, but I don't think it's unhealthy.
Because, like, I don't need to make things up to be interesting.
Right.
You know, like, I'm not interested. I don't need to impress strangers with fake stories. Like, that's not my MO.
You know, we had mobsters and tigers and strippers and all sorts of things that other normal people just don't have in their life.
People usually just assume I'm lying or at least embellishing.
I think every family should do a podcast together and talk about all of their trashy stories. The son of a bitch, and I'm the bitch, Shannon Livingston.
And I'm the son, Joe Labasco.
You actually said your whole name this time. Thank you so much. It only took 7 episodes to get it together.
To mix it up.
Yeah, so this episode, we're going to talk about something that isn't so intellectual, as you would put it, Joe, because apparently you don't like talking about smart things.
I'm not here to teach people. They can do that on their own.
They cannot. Have you met people? Because it's not happening. So I won't get too deep into things, but I do tend to get a little
well, they're interesting stories. It'll be, you know, you got to have some background.
You like this story because, as you would say, it's about my crazy family. And when we say crazy, it is not really addressing some of the mental illness that I'm sure exists, because we don't want to stigmatize that. It's fun crazy. We're all a little different. And so when you throw us all together into a mixed bag of nuts, then we end up with crazy stories. And so today we are talking about house fires and how my family, no, not yay, how my family had three house fires, and you call it 3.5.
3.5.
But it wasn't. The 4th was just a smoldering.
Which I consider a half.
Well, the fire department did not consider that. So we had 3 house fires, and I know that that's a really odd thing, but we were terrible children.
Odd is that they were still in the same house.
I know. I kept saying, haven't you seen Amityville? Like, don't you know when a house wants you out?
I mean, you know, I don't even know what that house used to look like, because by the time I came around, all the fires had already happened and it had been, you know, completely rebuilt. So.
Which really was for the better, because my mother was never a good housekeeper. So it was kind of a good solution to just be like, we'll just burn it down. We'll just start fresh.
Not that they did that on purpose.
Well, my brother did.
Well,
it's been long enough now. We can talk about it. We can tell the truth on this podcast. So the first time was when my brother was 8 years old, and he was the stepson of my father. And we had just moved. We were the secret family, by the way. I was the secret daughter of my parents. My mother was my father's secretary. And he was still married, not to my mother, when I was born, in the bathroom of their office. That's another story. So I was 4 years old by the time we moved in to the house with my father.
Off the apartment on Troost, right?
It was a house.
Which, okay. The
77th and Troost in Kansas City.
If you're from Kansas City, you know where that is.
I know you're just doing that. You're throwing that in to give me street cred, according to your friends. So anyway, see, now when you do that, I get distracted by stuff. So he was pissed off that he was the stepson and that he had a room in the basement of this house. It was unfinished basement, and it was like, here's your mattress, stepchild, right? Like, you know, he would be Cinderella, I guess, maybe in modern days. And my father and my brother did not get along well. So even at 8 years old, they had a lot of friction. So this resulted in one Sunday, we were playing hide and seek, and I had an older half sister that I was told about when I was 4 years old. Surprise! You have a sister, another one. That was a fun time. You don't know anything different. You know, when you're 4, you're like, this is how it works. Okay, everybody has like surprise siblings flying around.
Things, going on at that time.
So so we were playing hide and seek on a Sunday morning. And a Saturday morning, and we were hiding in the closet, or I was hiding in the closet, and my older sister, my older brother, and my younger sister were all there. And my brother was 8, my older sister was 11, and my younger sister was a baby at that time. And so I had to come out of the hallway closet, because I smelled smoke, and it was, starting to accumulate in there. And it was coming up through the ductwork, apparently from the basement where my brother had his room, in quotation marks. And so we were in pajamas. We had to get my mother and the baby, and my father had already gone to the office. He worked 6 days a week as an attorney downtown. And so we all get outside, and we were stuck outside, and it was January. I think it was, super cold.
Very
and it was
cold.
all ice. We were barefoot. So the mailman finally came along, and there were neighbors that were outside looking at us. But because we had been the secret family and my mother had been the second wife, they were not helping us.
How did they all know about that?
Oh, because his first wife, when she was told, oh, hey, by the way, that baby's mine, and there's another baby, and then that one's mine. And sorry about that, but we're, going to need to get a divorce. And she was upset. She just
put the whole thing on blast.
And it was a small town, right? And they were close neighbors. They had all lived there for years. And so everybody knew. In fact, at one point, the neighbors tried to start a petition to get us to move out. Like, we had a dog. We had a dog named Satin, and she was so badly behaved that we called her Satan. And so we would be outside calling this Cocker Spaniel, saying, Satan, Satan. So they thought we were devil worshippers and terrible. But anyway, back to the story.
Well, you know what the devil likes to do.
So we get outside, and the mailman stops and helps us out of the fence, and we sort it all out. But later it's discovered that it was because my brother, 8 years old, had just set fire to his mattress because he was kind of upset about the living arrangements.
I mean, I can't really blame him for that. I've been in that basement. Obviously, it reconstructed, basement part.
When there was really a room, there were walls. He didn't have any walls, so it went up fairly quickly.
And there's crickets and spiders, and
so they rebuilt.
No, thank you.
They did not really. rebuild
So what was the extent
relationship
of the damage? Was it like the house was totally gone?
Well, what fire doesn't get, smoke and water will get, and so everything is destroyed, especially when it's the bottom level like that, and it's coming up, onto everything else. So they rebuilt the house. We move in, and fast forward to 13 years later, I believe, my younger sister was who was always described as the sweet one. I don't think I was described as anything other than the queen.
Definitely not the sweet one.
Yeah, not the sweet one, because I was a royal pain in the ass, they would say. But so my sister was, we had one of the big console televisions that you had, and when it didn't work, you called the TV repairman. It sounds like the milkman now. It's like such an antiquated thing, but you would call the TV repairman to come out and fix your stuff. And we had the pampas grass, also very outdated, maybe I think trending again. I don't know.
How exciting.
We had that behind the TV. And so instead of getting a flashlight, with the TV repairman on the phone asking for the serial number to the TV, she used a match. Yes, with my mother supervising. And so by the time I got home, because I had to take one of my father's clients and also one of my school classmates to court that day. So I wasn't home. Otherwise I would have been supervising both of them, and maybe this whole thing wouldn't have happened. I don't know. But so I get home, and the whole place went up, and there's fire trucks, I think 3 or 4 of them, and they're standing outside, and I'm looking for the dog, and so lost everything. And then they rebuilt. So that was the second time.
Right.
So they rebuilt from that, and it was really kind of done, very cool, very modern. We had the nicest house on the block for a while.
Okay.
And then my parents went to Vegas. They were like, wow, that was really stressful. We need to go on our trip to Vegas. I'm sure we can trust Shannon to be in charge of everything, because she's been such a responsible delight so far.
And then you did what?
So I had a little party.
A little party. That is not what I was told.
I think the police later said there were, it was an estimated 300 people in and out of there. And it was a smaller house. but it was a big party.
And this is before cell phones.
Oh yeah, we had
even
flyers,
email.
and we had a way of communicating. If there was a party going on, everybody knew about it.
Sure.
And I got along with everybody. So, I got along with the stoners, and I got along with the jocks, and everybody.
Uh-huh.
So it was also not good because I had all of these subgroups of people
Who
in
did
my
not like
house
each
that
other.
didn't get along. Right. I thought it was great. They didn't think it was so great.
Mhm.
And then also at that party, I might have done a little bit of acid. And so things got really out of control. Somebody got stabbed, and I was at the Waffle House with my friend's car, not with any permission. I just walked outside and I was like, I think I need some hash browns. So I took my friend Dale's car.
That really is a safe haven when you're in a crisis.
It really was. I needed to be comforted. But somebody came up to get me, and they were like, hey, by the way, you stole that car and you shouldn't be driving. And also there's like somebody getting stabbed at your house. And so you need to get back. And so the police came and they broke it up, and everything is fine. That is not when the fire happened. Now, the next day we had to fix holes in the carpet and fix holes in the brand new wallpaper. And
I don't know how to do any of these
we
things.
cleaned things. I mean, I had a crew of my friends over there, and we worked to make that house spotless from that party. So we finished and we got everything done, and we were all watching this movie, and somebody was smoking, and they put their cigarette out in an ashtray, and they dumped the ashtray into a trash can that was in my closet with all of my beautiful brand new clothes that I had just bought. And it all went poof, and it just went up.
Okay, now, obviously you don't have to say who it was, but do you know who it was?
Her name was Marty.
Oh, okay.
I know there's no chance that she's going to listen
There
to this.
we have it.
Yeah, thanks for burning down
Marty
our house,
burned
Marty.
the house down.
She was a neighbor of ours. So she burned the house down. One of my friends almost died in there. He was unconscious, and his brother had to drag him out. And it was actually, quite a serious situation. So I think the next day my parents were coming home, and I had to have a driver. My father was a large, angry man on a good day.
Oh, I would not. No.
The house had just burned down for the third time. Are you kidding me? And it was, we lived on, my mother still lives there, on a corner lot.
Right.
And it's kind of situated in a way where when you come around the one street, you see the back of the house where the fire started.
Right.
So as soon as you came around that corner, you saw that there was no house. Like you would just see the shell of the house and the part that had burned.
Oh,
like
God.
that was my room, that back corner.
Uh-huh.
So that was not a good day. And then we lived in a hotel, I think, for a while, and then in a townhouse when they rebuilt it. And then the third and a half time was just a smoldering.
While they were rebuilding it from the third time.
So it was almost rebuilt from the third time.
Uh-huh.
And my friend and I were over at the house. It was the electricity was on, the water was on, and they were just doing minor things, and we hadn't moved in yet. And I think I was 17, 18, I think 18 at this point. And so I said, hey, we're going to stay over at the house this weekend. We're going to get ready over there and just stay over there. And so they said, okay. So we're getting ready, and all of a sudden the smoke detector starts going off. And I think, come on, like this is wired strangely, or something. And so it turned out, then we started to smell like a burning smell.
Oh,
so
God.
There was no phone yet. I had to go. They hadn't put that in yet. So I had to go over to the neighbor's house and call 911 and get the fire department. And they said, is this the Thompson house? It's bad when the fire department knows who you are by name when you're calling.
I would not be surprised if they don't have a blueprint of that house framed on the wall.
Funny story.
at the
My
Grandview Fire
mother
Department.
actually changed the interior of the house in between the first fire and the second fire. Or no, the second fire and the third fire. So when they went back in, the blueprint was different.
Oh,
and
God.
she got in trouble for that I guess you're supposed to file it or whatever.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. But they certainly thought that we were trying to burn the house down for insurance. And what had happened later
Well, yeah, of course.
was they determined that a worker had been up in the attic and was doing something and had fallen through the insulation, which then made him fall through the ceiling in the master bedroom. He repaired the ceiling, never went back up to the attic. The work light had fallen onto the insulation, and it has started to smolder.
Very unprofessional.
Well, this was not a professional crew. I mean, you've seen the condition that the house is in now, and that is because they did this horrible work. So those are the stories of my 3.5 house fires.
That is completely insane.
You're making so much noise with that drink. I don't know why you need to do that.
Why
Let me
do
get you a little
need
sippy
to
cup for
hydrate
when we're in
myself?
here.
Oh my God. So, what I find interesting, for one thing, is each child was responsible for burning the house
Although
down.
it wasn't by my hand.
Yeah, you didn't do it directly.
They
but
literally had matches.
Was
my
your
siblings.
fault.
I just had a big party
So,
and stupid neighbor friends.
And they just kept, they made it stick. That they said, this is our house.
But do you think that it's meant to burn down like that?
Well, apparently
Like,
not.
why does the house want to burn and my
you know,
parents just weren't catching on?
Well,
because that's a lot for one house, no matter how bad the kids are.
That is a lot. And, that has to be some kind of local record for the same house.
Local record is probably a national record.
Same house to burn down 3 times without a meth lab involved.
Yeah, and it's Missouri, so you think there would be a little meth involved, but there wasn't. At least not on my part. I don't know what my sister was doing at 13.
I can just picture some old grizzled firefighter telling this story to this rookie about this house that they had to go in and put out over and over and over again.
Yeah, but it is very scary.
Of course it is. Did you actually, how close were you to the actual fire of the fire? Like, did you get out all 3 of these times before anything really got crazy, or is this like a
it was very scary
Hollywood situation?
No, it was very scary, the first one, because I remember opening the basement door, which is so stupid. If you have a house fire, the worst thing to do is go deeper into the house.
Is not good.
Well, no, you don't go deeper into the house. You get out.
Right.
So I don't know why that was necessary, but
you were 4.
But I didn't open the door.
Oh, okay.
Well, I just wanted to get out. And I don't know why we didn't go out the front door, but we ended up going out the back door and into the backyard. But there was smoke billowing up, and you couldn't see, you couldn't breathe, and you're panicking. You're wondering what you should take, and there's no time. It's so fast.
Yeah.
There's no time to try to stop it, to try to really grab anything. So when we were talking about this topic, you had said something about not having anything sentimental because of these house fires.
Yeah, it's all right. Anything that you could have had was obviously destroyed.
But I think that, first of all, we didn't have a lot. We didn't have a lot of pictures, and there was no family heirlooms, and
home videos.
My family's not very traditional, so so we didn't have a lot of that. But I think also, even the sentimental things that you hang on to, that is a form of materialism. And I still have all the memories of everything that happened, everything, good and bad. I have all those memories, and I don't need a ticket stub or something like that.
Well, yeah, you do, but those memories will die with you. Because as many times as you can tell the story to someone else, they weren't there. They can't picture that.
Right. Because you go through a box of my grandparents' trinkets all the time. You're so interested in that.
I look through the pictures quite often. It's interesting.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do.
Of my family and things that they've done.
Well, whatever pictures we have, a lot of them are people just sitting on the couch with a bong and a big dog. But,
I don't know who that would be.
Also, a few people. Some of them are still with us. Some of them not. But, it's.
No, please unscrew the drink again and put it next to the mic.
I'll put it away from the mic. My God.
Well, work something out. So we were talking about materialism, and how it really taught me how very little you need to survive, because there were points after these fires that you have the clothes on your back. You don't have a toothbrush. You don't have, if you don't have it on you, you don't have it.
Yeah.
So I really learned that you don't need that much.
Well, you don't need that much, but should basic necessities be the mode that you're operating in every day?
No, and that I'm all for luxury. I totally agree with being luxurious. But if you are deriving comfort from physical things, Like my mother and my brother both really are kind of anxious about travel, and they don't like to be away from their things, from
Sure.
their comfort level. And it really is a thing. They derive that comfort from those things. I don't. And
I've noticed.
And I never have. Well, I know you're upset because I go through periodic purges.
Yeah, and the problem is you don't just throw away your stuff. You throw
I
away
literally give
my
whole
stuff.
house full of things away. I just go,
Yeah,
screw
no, you
this
did
house.
several times.
I know, that's what I'm saying, but I'm done with it. And I just don't place that importance on material things. Once they've served their purpose, they've held my clothes or been a couch or whatever, pass it on to the next person.
Well, certain things are okay, but like electronics that still work, that's a different story.
We streamed everything and we went digital. Why do we need to keep everything around?
There's a certain speaker system that
you can replace if you want.
Really, those are expensive.
Yeah, well, you've survived all this time without it, any problem.
So yeah. Anyway, getting back to the point, you definitely do not have a lot of attachment to anything material.
I'm not sentimental, and I'm not
You're
materialistic.
not sentimental, yeah. So,
and you know why though? Because I think it's so freeing. What I also learned was the power of reinvention. And when you're looking at, you have no clothes but the clothes on your back, and you have to start from zero, you really think, well, what do I want? What am I going to buy? Am I going to buy the same old stuff that I had before? Or do I want to, switch it up? And now I'm going to dress this way or that way, which I've also done when we've moved around the country to different places. You dress differently for different places.
That's definitely something that I can relate to in that aspect. Because we moved around so many times and had to start over. And so in some ways that's good. In some ways not so much, but
and how not so much? Because I get so excited about the opportunity of change and freedom.
Yeah, but you've also been an adult for,
well, that is debatable.
30 years, at least looked like one.
That's true.
So, when you're a child and you're going to a new place, that's a new school, that's new kids, that's a new social hierarchy, there's a lot of.
And you don't feel like you dominate and master that easily?
I probably could now at my social skills at the time. No.
Yeah.
That was not good.
It really is amazing how you were so awkward in your earlier years, really because of neurological differences.
Most of it was upstairs.
And now you can run a room and you're a public speaker and you've, run programs at colleges. And so good job.
Anakin Skywalker.
And good job for me, because I'm sure you what?
Huh?
I was giving myself a pat on the back. What are you talking about over there? Some weird Star Wars shit?
Yeah. Well, okay. So Anakin Skywalker started when his training started.
Don't want to hear why I'm not going to be a grandmother anymore.
He was considered too old and they didn't want to train him. And yet they eventually agreed to. But the point is, he started off behind the 8 ball, or, behind the curve.
Mm-hmm.
And then leapt over everyone because he had this massive amount of potential.
So you think it was all that massive potential in your brain that was squished up, and then once we released it, now you're the flower that you've blossomed into?
Well, I mean, I had issues with social skills well after my last operation at 15 years old. It took me until probably junior, senior year to do. The biggest thing was I just stopped caring about what everyone else thought. But being the new kid, still
so much noise.
Not a lot of fun.
That's not making it any less noisy.
Adds a dimension to the room.
I would rather you dehydrate at this point. It's so annoying to me.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's why you're tense. But
I'm not usually.
Anyway, yeah, you do get opportunities to reinvent yourself, and they can't make fun of you for something that happened 10 years ago because they weren't there.
Mm-hmm.
And the old kids that you don't like that used to mess with you, you don't have to deal with them anymore. You get all new ones.
But were you tempted to lie? Like when you went into a new school and a new classroom, were you tempted to lie about your name or your past, or were you always just like, okay, I'm just not going to say this part?
I mean, I definitely still tweak certain things.
What does that mean?
Small details, I might play up the whole living in the city bit a little more than, I make it feel like, yeah, we did live in the city. All of that's true. But we moved out when I was like 6.
Wow.
But,
yeah, I guess we did. We moved to Kansas.
Yeah, which I don't like to talk
about. The Naples of Kansas.
I hate Kansas.
That's not nice. There are nice people in that state.
There are nice people in that state, but I have no love for that place. Okay. For several reasons. We can get into that
because
in a later
you didn't
episode.
Reinvent well there.
Well, that's where you
learned lessons.
That was just going across town. That wasn't it wasn't the same people, but yeah, I learned a lot of it. It was a very different environment than what I had, going from a school in the city, not only a school in the city, but a school where all the grades are mixed.
Because it was Montessori.
Right. So, you're dealing with kids that are 3, 4, or 5 years older than me at times.
And you were the only white kid in the class.
I was the only white kid in the class 90% of the time. There were 3 or 4 other white kids there that I remember, but not a lot, which, didn't bother me, but it was definitely different. Mm-hmm. And then you go to the suburbs where it's the complete opposite. Mm-hmm. The only non-white people there were Korean. So,
and you actually felt like you didn't belong. Like that's what struck me.
Weird. Yeah.
Was the culture was different.
The culture was completely different.
And right. You really related more to the culture of the city kids.
Yeah. They wore different kinds of jackets. They had different poses in their pictures. They, weren't wearing flashy shoes.
But so do you think if we wouldn't have moved around, thank you for not grabbing that if we wouldn't have moved around and you wouldn't have been forced to kind of rethink who you were and what you wanted to present, do you think that you would have gone through the growth and reinvention that you have? Because I think those fires certainly forced me to think about things that otherwise I would not have.
I think some of that's going to happen just, because it has to, but probably in different ways. I'd probably be a different version of myself now had we, stayed in one spot longer than we did.
But giving stuff away, going back to that, because it really is, I love it so much and you get so angry about it. But doesn't it make you feel, you don't need to roll your eyes.
We're on audio. No one can, oh, wait.
Yeah, no, we have cameras.
All right, well,
smart ass.
That adds more character.
Well, then roll your eyes at them, not me.
But you told me not to look at the camera.
When do you ever listen to me? This is why I have notes to follow, because you're like all over the place. You might have ADD, or I might have ADD because I can't follow you. But so doesn't it make you feel better being more mobile? You love to travel so much. You don't want to live in Florida for your whole life. And having fewer things means you have fewer things to pack up and move.
Yeah, I can understand that. But where I'm more selective about the things that I choose to hold on to and the things that I choose to get rid of.
I pay storage on
you pay storage
plastic bins of bullshit that you are never going to use.
No.
Things hold you don't even know that exist. Just pencil erasers.
Time out here.
Come on.
You pay storage for your stuff.
For Christmas decorations that bring me a lot of joy.
Christmas, Halloween, Thanksgiving.
I don't decorate for Halloween anymore because you told me that I was doing it for myself and not for you. So this is for you, right? That was it. And I gave all the decorations to Alexia for her daughter.
The point is, most of the stuff in that storage unit is not mine.
Yeah, you have half of it and it's all crap. So maybe if the storage unit burns down, then you'll learn the value of not having an attachment
sturdy. I don't know if that
to material goods. Do you think? What's going to teach you a lesson to get rid of that crap?
Why is this a lesson I need to learn?
Because I'm paying on the storage.
Again, most of that is your stuff.
Okay, we'll see. Once I get the Christmas stuff out, we'll see.
And all the things I have in there are things that I've collected over my childhood. They're the maps from the trip to Disney World. They're pictures from Las Vegas. They have that online.
Oh, that's online too. Everything is digital now.
Not my 10th birthday. That's not online.
Well, sure. Just email those pictures to yourself and then it's online. Do you need the hard copy of everything?
Well, and what happens when the Russians or whoever shuts our system down?
They're going to be so interested in your 10th birthday. That's how they're going to take down the country.
When it all
the grid is going down.
When it all goes dark, all of that's gone.
No.
It's just data.
No. And, we live in a hurricane state. And so all of that, I don't have to give our shit away. It may just float away someday.
I did think about that when we were, when we evacuated.
So you better digitize. Because we're evacuating again. I'm
I can't digitize that autographed baseball I got from spring training. That doesn't go in the computer.
No, they have 3D stuff now. We'll get you some help with the technology.
I like my stuff.
Were you just
That's
speechless just then?
thing.
You were like kind of quiet. You were almost speechless.
Thinking about what to say next.
I'm thinking about tater tots.
I don't feel like collecting souvenirs, so to speak, from your life is being materialistic. I feel, holding on to stupid stuff.
All the stuff that you hang on to is stupid. That's my point. But I'm not going to keep going back and forth with this about it because we're not going to agree. The point is that we really wanted to make with this episode is that sometimes tragedies like losing everything materialistically, we're very fortunate that no person and no animal died in those fires because it did get very close. That having the loss of everything can be a really valuable lesson, that there can be good in that tragedy. And it can teach you that things do not bring happiness, that it is more important to spend your time with people and building memories rather than a portfolio. And that reinvention is an option for everyone all the time. You can wake up any day and say, okay, like when you were in 3rd grade and you said, I'm not Joey anymore, I'm Joe. Now I'm Joe. And now look at you. You're Joe. You've been Joe for all these years.
I understand the point that you're trying to make. But,
not trying. I did make it very well.
But I think where we differ is...
Because there always has to be a differ. Can you just agree with me about one thing? I'm right on this. What could you possibly disagree with?
You just think you're right because you're the one saying it.
I just think there's nothing that you could possibly disagree with what I just said. What do you disagree with?
You let me talk, I'll tell you.
Go ahead. You're spending time prefacing.
God damn. So
that's not nice. You shouldn't say that to your mother.
Anyway, I feel like you think that I'm putting all of this emotional dependency onto these things.
Yes.
That is not what's happening.
What is happening?
It's just
you're going to eBay it all and pay for my grandchildren's college.
It's for nostalgia's sake. Each one of those things.
But that's exactly what nostalgia is. It's emotional attachment to stuff.
Has a story attached to it.
Yes, that's emotion. So you can't say that one doesn't exist, yet that is exactly what exists.
I didn't say there was an emotion attached. I said I'm not dependent on that. It's just nice for me to have.
Okay.
Because these are things that I've acquired over my life.
Right.
Through experiences that I've had. If they all get destroyed, they all get destroyed. The shit happens. I understand. But, I like to collect stuff. You've seen my wall.
Yes, I know. So I really am thinking about tater tots now. And I think that is, I know I can't stop because I know that they're right over here in this barbecue place that's close by. And once I know the barbecue and tater tots are in close proximity, that's it.
Okay. So,
what?
We'll get back to tater tots in a minute, but
I'm ready to close it out. You got something else?
Yeah. I just wanted to see what your thoughts were on how much your environment shapes your personality. So like what we talked about. With going
so before
to
you're going to
places.
Contribute what's in storage, and now that I'm ready to wrap it up, you're like, here's a thoughtful thing. Yeah, you didn't wear your watch either. So what was the question again? I was being too snarky. Go ahead.
I'm aware. So how much does your environment, if that changes, shape who you are and who you develop into versus just your innate characteristics?
Well, I think that nature and nurture is going to be an ongoing argument, discussion, whatever, because there's part of me that has always been there. My friend was commenting on my birthday about how when she met me in middle school, I was wearing a white suit and kitten heels. And so then that was middle school.
That sounds about right.
And right. I mean, I like a good suit. That's who I am. I'm always overdressed for things, but it's really who I am. But also I have tailored things for, if I have lived in Chicago, there's a different way that you dress than if you live in Naples, Florida. And it's not just the weather.
Yeah.
There is a certain expectation. And plus I've always believed in dress for the job that you want, not the one that you have. Only I apply that to life. Dress for the life that you want and not the one that you have. And I think that that has worked out for me, because then people just assume that that's the case. And then before you know it, that's the case. You're in a suit, you have a nice life, and everybody's happy.
So you just walk around like it's a Kentucky Derby 80 years ago, and that gets people to
I
take
spend
you
too much of my
seriously.
hair to wear a hat. I'm not going to do that. But no, I think that it's an even mix. I think that people are who they are. They're going to be attracted to certain places. They're going to find their way. They're going to, dress for that. They're going to speak that way. I'm from Missouri, but I should say Missouri. And there are times when my twang comes out a little bit more, and times when I tuck it in. And so we all kind of decide who we are moment to moment.
I've been told that parts of my accent come out the more alcohol I have. I don't know how true that is. But
yes, as a mother, I don't want to hear that.
Apparently it gets more Southern the more I have to drink.
And I don't want to hear that damn cup anymore either.
Well,
so
that you're not.
So did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
I'm in charge of me.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't say in control, but I'm in charge.
You might want to work on that.
I have authority over me. It's just not going well.
Uh-huh.
All right. So that is a good place to wrap it up. I'm going to go have some tater tots, but I think we covered some good ground, and probably embarrassed my family, but it's the truth. The truth is the truth. I can't help that.
Yeah, they didn't do anything that wasn't repaired.
Well, I mean, the whole house, it
might look a little different now, but it's still there in some form.
She's still living there. I still kind of expect a fire to happen in that house. Like, I kind of expect it to be the last chapter.
Aren't you always the one saying don't put that energy out there?
I know. I don't want to manifest. No fire, no fire.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure someone will be arrested for arson if that house got burned down again.
They were really looking at me during that smoldering. We were there alone, and they were like, this does not make any sense.
So yeah, we'll wrap it up there. Peace, love, and try not to burn your house down.
We're not dating. I've got my own life. You've got your life. There's always going to be a healthy boundary there.
We do tend to, I think, bicker maybe like a married couple or siblings. And, it's a different dynamic. But I don't think it's unhealthy.
Because, I don't need to make things up to be interesting.
Right.
I'm not interested. I don't need to impress strangers with fake stories. That's not my MO.
We had mobsters and tigers and strippers and all sorts of things that other normal people just don't have in their life.
People usually just assume I'm lying or at least embellishing.
I think every family should do a podcast together and talk about all of their trashy stories.